I never let it affect me, because people, like, I had people from all over the world talking about me, and I didn't even know who these people were. So I always had the mindset that people talking about you without even knowing you says more about who they are as a person than it does me. And I knew at the end of the day what I was doing and why it was good and what conservation was. And I realized at that point that people were just uneducated. So I've made it my mission to try and flip the narrative and show them why it is what we do. Why it is we do what we do.
Yeah, and that's like actually one of the things Travis was and I were talking about prior to you coming on is that the conservation piece. And I've never been what I would say a trophy hunter. I'm a meat hunter. So kind of explain that side of it for people that may not know, including myself. Like I've never been to Africa or wanted to hunt a lion or whatever, but what's your kind of reasoning or take on it, or what's behind that?
Mainly to go into Africa specifically is those animals are looked after and taken care of because of hunters. If it wasn't for hunters, poaching is such a huge thing over there that it's hunters' money that goes back to those anti-poaching communities and make sure that those animals are taken care of and they're looked after. And I always say, like, we sacrifice one to save many, because if you take the value off of an animal and there's no reason to watch after it anymore, farmers that look after these animals aren't going to spend their own dollars doing that. I kind of always say, like, if corn wasn't in demand here, people aren't going to farm corn and look after corn. So it's kind of like it is just like in an animal perspective.
Interesting.
That's another thing that's really important is the people that would go on there and that go online and easily criticize you, kind of shooting from the hip. It's like, I don't think they understand all that goes into it. It's like, literally, it's not, you're just running up there in the car and just shooting the first thing you see.
Yeah.
It's like those things are groomed they're picked very specifically. And why don't you talk a little bit about why or how you choose the animal that's going to be taken in those situations?
I mean, I think this just goes to hunting as a whole. If you're an ethical hunter, you're going to want to go after the oldest, the one that's not breeding anymore, the one that maybe be carrying like bad genetics as far as health reasons. Like, you want to take those animals out of the population so that you'll have a healthy herd, and the population will thrive in the wild. I mean, that's the same thing, I think, universal.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of people don't know that, like, for instance, like the lions, you see a hunting a lion. A lot of times the lion that's taken out there is like one that's been kind of kicked out or exercised out of the pride. And if you don't take care of those, they said they will go around and they will just murder cubs from the other prides in order to even that same pride that they just get kicked out of. And so the conservation around there goes deep. My uncle used to take people out on safaris in Africa, and he kind of taught me some of these things. And that was one thing he said, that it's a whole management perspective. It's not just conservation, but it's like wildlife management, kind of all.
Yeah, absolutely. And what people over here don't realize, like, those lions do go into villages. Like South Africa, Zimbabwe, there's parts, the whole country is a third world country, but there's parts that people literally live in villages, no running water, no electricity. And you have lions and elephants coming into their village, either killing people, eating all of their crops, and that ruins their like entire livelihood. So there's like a ton of things that go into conservation. I could talk about it all day.
No, and it's fascinating because I don't think enough people talk about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I've been going over there since I was 8 years old, so I always go over there and learn something new. I'm constantly asking questions. So I know all of this. I just don't know what other people don't know. So it's kind of hard for me to be able to explain it to people without them asking me directly specific questions.
What's up, Predators? I want to thank you for checking out this clip from the Smash or Pass podcast. We do this podcast pretty frequently, and we have new guests from the hunting and outdoors community all the time. If you want to not miss the next live stream, then go ahead and click the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you click to enable all the notifications so you'll be notified whenever we schedule and whenever we go live. You can also join the channel as a member, and you can get a chance to join us on the live streams whenever we go live. So thanks for watching this, Predators, and as always, keep defying the odds.